Now, I was struggling for a video idea this week, and then Lego7163 messaged me on Instagram, and obviously he's the voice actor for my clone troopers in a few of the animations along with 1020 Studios. But he said to me, why don't you do a video on comparing Lego and custom blasters? Now, this is a really good idea. I haven't actually seen this done before, so I thought, you know what, why don't I do it? So the way this video is going to work is I'm going to split them into different categories, that being pricing and accuracy, display, and animating. I'm going to go fairly in depth here on like the pros and cons of each blaster within these categories, and hopefully you learn something and maybe you can make some decisions about which blasters you think look greatest in your brick films and also in a display setting. The first category I've got for you is accuracy and pricing. So custom blasters are a really broad term. So what sorts of custom blasters should you be using? So if you're going to use a custom blaster, I'd use the most accurate version out there, which is probably not Clone Army Customs blasters, as you can see here. But what we do have is Brick Arms blasters, and they're far more accurate. These are Brick Arms blasters, these are Brick Arms blasters as well, and I think they're far more accurate than some of the CAC blasters. However, the problem with using these Brick Arms blasters is obviously the pricing. Now, for one gun, this is a fair amount of money, and it's going to be a similar thing in terms of US dollars. So you're going to have to pick up quite a few of these. But with Lego blasters, you're already going to have picked up a very decent selection within your sets. So there's probably no need to even go out and buy these. Even if you were to do so, they are far cheaper than trying to buy these Brick Arms blasters. However, the trade-off is obviously they aren't as detailed. However, they're far more affordable, and what you can do if you really want a custom blaster is go over to eBay and buy some fake knockoff Brick Arms blasters. Now, they look very similar. I will admit to using these in my brick films because I can't afford to buy loads of Brick Arms blasters. But say there's £10 here, that's £1 per blaster, which is a significant price decrease from this. Therefore, why do I like these fake knockoffs? Well, because they look so alike to the Brick Arms blasters. And now we've finally got down to what custom blasters you can use. It's time to actually compare them to Lego blasters. So the second category is display. So whether it be clones, stormtroopers or droids, it's ultimately down to personal choice how you want to display your minifigures and if you want to use custom or Lego blasters. Now they both look fairly good. However, what I like to actually do is just keep all my blasters in this little. So when I dish them out among the minifigures, it just makes animating a lot easier. And so I just display the minifigures without weapons. And it saves a bit of space on the base plate when you've got multiple layers of minifigures stacked up in the background. And it just makes sure I have enough blasters for the animation itself. So the third category is animating itself, which leads nicely on from the past category. So the third category is animating itself, and that's the final part of the video. Firstly, I want to address battle droids and why I do not use custom blasters at all on them. After a lot of battle droids being in my brick films, I tend to feature them majoritively within one shot a lot of the time, so you end up with 4 or 5 droids. There's even been huge shots in some of the blade scenes with maybe 10 to 15 droids in them. And there are very few knockoff battle droid blasters out there, unlike the clone blasters, which we saw earlier. And obviously I'm on a budget, as is every animator, so I can't afford to buy Brick Arms for 15 battle droids. So I personally stick to just using the Lego blasters on my battle droids, as it gives them a sense of uniformity. They look fairly nice, and they're obviously not main characters, which the clones are, and that gives the clones that extra sense of detail with the custom blasters, which the battle droids just don't really have. Secondly, while custom blasters do look a lot nicer within animations in my opinion, especially on the clone troopers, and adding to the level of realism there is a large advantage to using Lego blasters as well, and that is that you don't need as much clay when the blaster initially fires. So now we're in stop motion studio, and the first shot here, what I'm going to do is just attach a stud with a hole in the top of it to a normal Lego blaster, just to show you their advantage in terms of animating. So we're going to get this blue stud with this small hole here, and we're just going to put it on the end of the blaster very slightly like that. So then secondly, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the next frame, and we're going to get this blue rod here, put it inside the stud, so what you have is a really nice connection here, and you don't need any sort of clay. So the obvious advantage here is that custom blasters do need a good chunk of clay. So if I was to say use a custom blaster rather than a Lego one here, we're going to pop that in, and the hole in the top of the stud doesn't connect to the end of the custom blaster. That's just not how it works. So what you're going to have to do is get a stud with clay on it. Now, obviously, you can use slightly less clay than this, but I want to make sure it sticks on. So I'm just going to have a fair amount for this shot. And then I obviously take the picture, and we then have to have something that looks even worse for the second frame, which is a stud with clay on both sides to secure the rod on. And it will only flash up for a split second, and if you put some cool lighting in, I personally think it doesn't really matter. It looks perfectly fine. However, that is a disadvantage. And so in terms of animating, when you're looking at custom and Lego blasters, it really depends if you're too bothered about clay being visible within your shots and how much you really want the viewer to see there. So now I've gone through the positives and negatives of cost, accuracy, display, and animating itself. Should you be using Lego or custom blasters? Well, I can't really tell you either way, but for me, a combination works best, especially in animations, as I discussed with the battle droids. I've gone through how I use each type of blaster, and it's completely down to you how you want to use them. But I hope this video helped in some way in learning some of the pros and cons of each blaster within these different themes. I'll see you in the next one.